much.
So I'm Al Smith. I ran for president in 1928. If you look me up, you'd have to do Alfred M. Smith. Anyway, so can recruiters find you? And the first thing I would like for all of you to do from now on is to do some research on the talking heads. Why is the person that you're considering listening to somebody who can share information with you? Is their information value? So you need to do some research, just like you would do in job search. But probably the least important reason why I think people should listen to me is that I've been in your chair. My background is that I've been at the executive level for 7 different companies in 5 different industries, which means one of 2 things. Either I can't keep a job, or I have transferable skills, and every single one of you has transferable skills too. And if you're ever around anybody who says otherwise, or if you're ever around anybody who is negative, politely excuse yourself and get the heck away from them, because you can't afford to be around anybody who is negative. And I say that because the last time I was in job search mode, it was for over 2 years, and the negativity was so bad that my wife should have kicked me to the curb, and I'm not using hyperbole. I do a lot of volunteering, helping people get jobs. It's something that when I was in job search mode, I was so down that I'd even contemplated suicide. I actually picked the spot in the woods behind my house where I was going to do it. And reading somebody's prayer request by accident really kept me from doing that. And I swore at that moment that if as soon as I got a job, I'd help people get jobs. And I've been doing this first as a volunteer and then as a coach for the last over 10 years, 11 years. I do a lot of volunteering when we're not in COVID. I've been interviewed a ton over the last number of years. Oh, I'm a genius. I can prove it. Who other than a genius would go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota in the middle of November to give a speech? Genius, I tell you, I'm genius. Okay, so seriously, let's get back. Let's go to what we're going to cover. Everything that I'm going to cover is in my book, Hired: Every Employment Method. But obviously, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're not going to cover because it's from soup to nuts job search. All right, here's what I hope to share with you. I want you to understand how job search is conducted by recruiters all day, every day. Why it's crucial for you to be on page 1, to be found on page 1 when a recruiter does a search. I want to share with you how to get there, at least a little bit of it. And if we have any time, I'd love to do some searches. So in a text box, I'd need your job title, industry, some keywords about about what you want to get found for, and of course your name, so I can do searches on LinkedIn. I don't know if we'll have time for it, but we'll try. And then of course we'll have some Q&A. First thing, who in here was a bad employee? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? No? Well, for whatever reason, you've lost your job. You were kicked to the curb. You became redundant. You were downsized. I got right-sized once, and I wanted to right-size their lip. So what is our first step? Now, I'll share with you what my first steps were. When I lost my job that last time, I went home and I yelled at my wife and I kicked the dog and I dove into a bottle of booze. Well, it's not quite true. I don't have a dog. The others are true, unfortunately. But seriously, we update our resume. We find jobs that are perfect for us. We click enter along with everybody else in the world that's looking for the exact same job. And then we sit and we wait and we wait and we wait. And then when does the phone start calling? I'm sure you're all on job boards. That's fine. People still get jobs on job boards, but not so many. But you're applying to jobs, certainly here in the States. If you're posting the jobs, only the jobs that you're seeing on job boards, it only accounts for 15 to 18% of the total. The vast majority of jobs out there are never posted anywhere. So think about this. No matter what our age group is, we're spending like over 90% of our time doing stuff online, and we're chasing jobs in the exact opposite proportion to where they are. We're applying to jobs on job boards 80 to 90% of the time, yet 82 to 85% of the jobs aren't on job boards. And of course, that makes us crazy. So no matter what position you're in, and the higher you get up the corporate totem pole, the less chance you have of getting a job through online applications. So how do recruiters find people like you? Notice I didn't say you because they're not finding you. How do they find people? Well, they start out with the job title that they have open. It's called a requisition. They type in the requisition, then they add 3 to 5 keywords that are associated with that job title. They're always in the job description. 25 people get phone calls. That's it. 25 people get a phone interview. From that original 25, 10 of them are called back for face-to-face interviews or virtual face-to-face interviews. 3 of those, maybe at the outside 5, are brought back for finals, and 1 person gets a job. 25 people. That's it. You might have hundreds or right now as many as 1,000 people applying for your job. And if you're not among the top 25, you could be the best person out there and you're not going to get a call. So what's your goal? Your goal is to get to the human, the recruiter. But you have to get past the computer's eyes before you can get to the human's eyes. If you don't get past the computer, you don't get to the human. So I'm going to concentrate on LinkedIn. I know what you're thinking. Oh, God, not another LinkedIn presentation. I've got a LinkedIn profile. Yeah, everybody has a LinkedIn profile, but most of them are like a certain part of the human anatomy. We all have one, and they stink. So we're going to concentrate on LinkedIn because 93% of recruiters use LinkedIn as their primary search tool. More than a resume, or in Europe and so forth, you call it a CV. Yours are longer than ours are here in the States. So question, you ever do the Google? I loved it when President Bush a few years back said, do the Google. So when you do the Google, how many pages of results do you look at? 1, 2, maybe 3? Well, guess what? What works for Google works the same thing in job search. Recruiters only look at 3 pages. So think about this. When a recruiter does a search for people, they're looking for 25 folks. There are 10 people per page in a LinkedIn search. If you're on page 1 or page 2, your profile will be read, not it will be viewed or read. When the recruiter or when LinkedIn says that you've appeared in X number of searches, that means nothing. I'll show you why in just a little bit. You want your profile viewed. All right, so if you're on page 3, your chances are okay that your profile may get read, but if you're beyond that, you have almost no chance. Gulp, that's a big gulp. How do I get to page 1 or page 2? Well, through, in large part, SEO, search engine optimization. And I want you to think of SEO like going fishing. If you're fishing for a fish, or if you're fishing for a job, you need to have something at the end of your line. In fishing, we call that bait. In job search, we call it keywords. So how do you search on LinkedIn? I want you to be able to search correctly on LinkedIn. If there are 2 or more words that have to follow in succession, you must put them in quotation marks. Then you'll add the joining words, either capital A-N-D, capital O-R, or capital N-O-T. This and that, this or that, this but not that. There are also 2 others that you can use. You can use the plus sign, which means the same as and. You could use the minus symbol, which means the same as not. But I've found that the words work better on LinkedIn than the symbols do. Then you need to understand Boolean search logic. Again, if there are 2 words or more, 2 or more words that have to follow in succession, you have to have quotation marks around them. That the things that you're searching for need to be lowercase. So, and then you connect with those other words, and you're going to use either and or not. Most of the time, you're going to use and. So here is an example. If I'm looking for an accounting manager, if I'm a recruiter, I'm looking for an accounting manager. I'll open quote, accounting manager, all lowercase, end quote, capital A-N-D. This person needs to be a CPA. I forget what they call it in Britain, but it's close to that. All that would be lowercase. Capital A-N-D, I want the person to have general ledger experience. Open quote, general ledger, end quote. Capital A-N-D, GAAP experience, generally accepted accounting principles. Capital A-N-D, I want this person to be senior in experience, not entry level. So that would be a search like a recruiter would. Job title and 3 to 5 keywords. So if I'm going to look for a vice president of marketing, holy mackerel, I'm connected to 153,000 vice presidents of marketing. Wait a second. That's not the way a recruiter works. Oh, yeah, they start with a job title and add 3 to 5 keywords. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm looking for a vice president of marketing. Open quote, vice president of marketing, end quote. And I want this person to be in the food industry. And I want this person to be in the consumer products industry. So I put consumer. And I want this person to have global experience. And I'm a real smart recruiter. So I'm going to want to parse out anybody who's not seeking the job. So I'm adding the word seeking. And when I did that, I found 177 results globally. So I found people in Boston, Milwaukee, Washington, D.C., Seattle, and St. Albans in the UK. So there are other things that I could do. How about if I just look in the New York City area? Okay, when I put that filter on, I got to 21 people. And the 21 is pretty darn close to 25, right? Oh, by the way, the person who came up page 1, position 1, his last name was Bright. I'm not making it up. I swear, I'm not making it up. Okay, so let's look at somebody else. When I took the word seeking out, I just arbitrarily went to page 10, position 1, and I found this guy, Marco. Let's look at his profile. And I'll bet a lot of you have a profile that's similar to this one. I'm not making any dispersions here, so aspersions. So let's look. What's the first thing we notice? Oh my goodness, he has no about section. He is a vice president of global marketing. He does live in the New York City area, but no about section. That's 2,600 characters with the second highest weight in the algorithm, and he has not a single word. So let's go further down. Let's look in his experience section. Holy schmoly, there's nothing there. There's no content. There's nothing of interest to keep anybody on that profile if they ever found it. So this guy will never get an interview. He'll never get another place. But let's look a little further at his background. He has a job here where he was an associate product manager. He was there for 2.5 years and changed jobs where he became a product manager. So he got a promotion. He did well. He was there for only 1.5 years and becomes a senior product manager at another company. He was there for 4 years in that position and became vice president of marketing. He was in that position for only 2 years, and now he's the vice president of global marketing. This guy is really, really good, but he'll never get found because he doesn't have any content, and he's on page 10. He'll never get found. But let's look at the guy who was page 1, position 1. He also lives in the greater New York City area, and he's a vice president of marketing. And when I first put this together a while back, he was working for a company called Core Jensen. Let's look at his profile. He has lots of content in the About section. And when I took this screenshot, the About section was only 2,000 characters. He has a way for a recruiter to get in contact with him. He has his email address. You might also want to get a Google Voice number and have that number, phone number in there. And when it was 2,000 characters with spaces, he had used 1,883 characters of that 2,000 that was available to him. Smart guy. Oh, he's bright. Huh? And this past year, or what is it? A while back, it was changed from 2,000 to 2,600 characters. Let's go into his experience section. He has lots of content, and he's uploaded media. He has things that people might want to click on to see what it's all about. The one on the left-hand side is a YouTube video. The one on the left-hand side is some actress. I don't even remember who she is. Go further down, and he has a white paper, something he did at Colgate-Palmolive. I guess when Madge for Dishes died, they had to redo the thing. So remember I said he worked for Core Jensen? In just a matter of a few months when I was doing this workshop live, he got a new job at Philips. He was found, he was interviewed, he got a new job. That's what I want for you. So I know what you're thinking. How do I get to page 1? Well, I have a process that I call words to work. Words to work. Why words to work? Because if you want to get found by recruiters, you need to have the right words in the right quantity in the right location. So what words to work does is we take job descriptions, use the weight of the algorithm to position you to get found by recruiters. That's what we want you to do. But to do it, you have to understand the LinkedIn algorithms. And no, I didn't say Al Gore rhythm. Get it? Boom, boom. promise bad jokes, not good jokes. I just promise lots of jokes. All right. So you need to understand the things that affect the algorithm. Your headline, at this point, the headline carries the heaviest weight, or so it seems. Then your job title and keywords, those are always important. No matter how they change the algorithm, title and keywords are always important. Where they're placed in your profile makes a difference. Believe it or not, the recommendations that you give and the recommendations you receive, they're all read by the computer, and there's weight in that algorithm. The endorsement section, although it's a very small part of the algorithm, there still is weight, so you want to take advantage of that. There are 50 words that you can use in that. Oh, by the way, you want to reach out to people and give recommendations proactively, so it can open a conversation, and you can say something like, yeah, I happen to be in job transition. Would you mind writing a recommendation for me? But, I know you're busy. If you'd like, I'll write the recommendation, send it to you, and you can make any adjustments you want to, and then send it back. The titles of the groups that you're in are also searched by the computer. Remember, you got to get past the computer to get to the human. The activity, there's a social selling index. So you want to be active on LinkedIn. The more you participate in LinkedIn, the more it pushes you towards the top. LinkedIn Premium, buying that for a few months can add a little weight to the algorithm. And I also want you to have objects of interest. You know the banner picture in the back? You could go to something like Pixabay, find a picture that expands your brand or speaks to your brand, upload, name it, save it, load it, and the spiders in the background read the names of those things. All right. So there are characters available to you. You want to use as many of these as possible. The headline now has 240 characters with spaces available to you. Your job title is not 240 characters. But if you add keywords associated with that job title, you can take advantage of the weighting in the algorithm. The About section now has 2,600 characters available to you. Again, you want to use those as best you can. And then for each job that you've ever had, in my case, it goes back to when the Dead Sea only had the sniffles, you have 2,000 more characters available to you. So you want to use those. Oh, and don't worry about age discrimination, because at some point it's going to say, click here to see X number of more experiences. The computer will read them. The human probably won't. Now, words to work, a warning about it. It's a royal pain. I call it a PETA, but it's highly effective. And I'll give you a couple examples of how effective it is. So what do you want to do? Where do we start? I want you to look for job descriptions. And I don't want you to look just at home. I want you to look anywhere in your country. And I know what you're thinking. I don't want to move. I don't want to move. I don't care. This is called words to work. You're looking for the words that recruiters are using to find people for work. And besides, 4/5 of the jobs are never posted. So if you only see one job that's posted in your area, there are probably a handful more that are unposted in your area. So let's do a search. My very first client was a supply chain director. So I'm just going to use him for an example. Marvin was his name. Supply chain director. When I searched for supply chain director, I found when I did this, 665 jobs for supply chain director. Well, that's kind of broad. So how about I add a keyword? The more narrow you can get it, the better. And in Marvin's case, he had been in the paper manufacturing business. So I said supply chain director and manufacturing, and I dropped that down to 196 jobs nationally in the U.S. So now is when the fun really begins. You have to start reading job descriptions to see if this is right for you, because you're looking for perfect jobs. Hey, Marvin, is this a perfect job? Well, I could probably do it. No, Marvin, is this a perfect job? Well, it wouldn't be that bad. Marvin, is it a perfect job? No. Okay, so let's look at another one. How about this one? Oh, baby, if this was here locally, I'd be all over it like white on rice. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You want to copy the stuff in the middle. The stuff at the top is usually fluff about the company. The stuff at the bottom is usually the EEOC regulations here in the States that has nothing to do with the job. So you don't even bother with that. Oh, And if you find acronyms, you're going to want to set those aside and come back to them, because acronyms are almost always important. So I want you to take all the stuff in the middle, copy it, and paste it into a Word or Pages document for temporary holding reasons. And when you get all your jobs, however many you want, 3 or more, a minimum of 3, you want to copy all that and go to a word cloud generator. I personally hate word clouds. When I do this for clients, I don't use word clouds. I use a different parsing tool, and I'll show you about that later. So Worded Out is the one I found that works the best at this point. So you paste all that alphabet soup where they tell you to, click generate, and voila, you have a word cloud. So now you need to take a highlighter and go through every stinking line of this flipping word cloud and find the words that are the most important, the things that you feel you want to get found for by recruiters, and the words that they would be using to find people like you. And you need a dead minimum of 10, and then you throw your acronyms back in. Now, this is where almost all the books stop. This is where almost all the coaches stop. I don't think this is where you should stop. Well, first of all, you have to start loading title and keywords in your profile, throughout your profile and in your resume. Oh, and you don't want to do this. This was a coach who had a scam where the person promised to get you to page 1, position 1. But look what they did. I searched for social media, person with page 1 in social media, and I know this guy paid that person quite a few $100s to get to page 1, position 1. But look what they did. Social media, social media, social media. If a recruiter sees this, you're going to be in the trash. You're not going to go figuring if you're scamming us now, you're going to scam us later. Again, this is where everybody stops after you find your keywords and start loading. But that doesn't tell you the whole story. I want you to search your competition. What do they got that you ain't got? So let's do that. And in Marvin's case, I did that. Oh, Marvin was about 10 years ago, and I had 1,640 supply chain directors in my network. I now have over 20,000 supply chain directors in my network somehow or another. Okay, so let's do a search, just a random search. If I'm looking for a supply chain director, if I'm a recruiter, I want to get down from 20,000 to a reasonable number, right? So if I did a search, supply chain director and plant operations and process improvement and quality assurance and Six Sigma, guess what I do? I go from 20,000 to 26. And isn't that exactly what a recruiter wants to do? They want to have 25 viable candidates that fill the bill. You want to be in that number. 20,000 down to 26. Bam, that quick. You want to be in that number. So let's remind you how recruiters do a search. Job title, 3 to 5 words, 25 people get a call, 10 get back to the face-to-face interview, 3 are brought in for the final, and 1 person gets hired. Okay, so how about we do a real deep dive into your competition like I did with Marvin? When I was searching for supply chain directors way back then, this guy came up every time, right up at the top every time. And then you can tell by looking at Steve, Steve must be a genius because he's got his tongue hanging out of his LinkedIn photograph. His tongue is hanging out of his mouth. Where do you think he is, Michael Jordan or something? His tongue is hanging out of his mouth. All right, enough of that. So I said, Marvin, take a look at Steve's profile. What makes him special? Marvin comes back. He says, this guy is nothing. Why the heck is he on page 1, position 1? I don't know. Let's find out. So I did a document search. Now, you'd figure somebody who's in supply chain, who's a director of supply chain, would have supply chain a number of times. How many times did Steve have supply chain in his profile? He had 34 times. 34 times. I wonder how many times Marvin should have it in his profile. Okay, anyway. So you can do this by yourself. You can do it, but it's very, 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 very difficult. And here's why. You can't search for yourself. It messes up the algorithm and you can't find yourself. You'd be pushed way down where you wouldn't necessarily be. You can't use a friend, a first level connections profile. because that too messes up the algorithm. You need to have somebody with a huge network of connections so that you're swimming in a deep pool just like a recruiter would. They have tons of connections. They would have 20, 30,000 supply chain director connections like I have. So you need to have that. In conclusion, even if you can't use somebody else's, if you go through this process on your own, your profile will be improved, but you won't know where you are. Every one of my clients is on page one. That's a guarantee. Now, I told you before, I hate word clouds. I don't read in circles. I don't do that. So I pay for a parsing tool that gives me a spreadsheet. And in this process, I want to compare you to I want to compare your profile to a whole bunch of your competitors. After I do that, I want you to reach keyword goals. And if there's a big discrepancy between what you have currently and what I want you to get, I'll tell you to look at one of your competitors, how that person got more. You can borrow ideas. I also give you a bunch of my former clients who have good looking profiles. Then you need to get the number of get the goals, but then you need to rewrite your headline, your entire profile. And you want to do this offline. You want to do it in Word document or a Pages document so you can copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste all at one time. You'll understand why in a second. So you might ask, well, why don't you as a coach, Al, rewrite my profile? Well, if I wrote your profile, it would read as if you didn't know what you do. Nobody knows what you do better than you. All right. So then you upload your profile. And unfortunately, you go into what I call LinkedIn limbo, where I could take your entire headline verbatim, put it in a search, and I can't find you for an entire week because the spiders in the background, they have to do their thing, and it's now taking them 7 days to positively affect your LinkedIn profile to move you up. It's worth the investment of 7 days. Trust me on this. You need to do this. You need to optimize your profile. Now, when I do this with clients, I do searches to see where you are. And most of my clients will take this very, very seriously. And when I do these searches, remember recruiters use the job title in 3 to 5 keywords. I want to make it harder for me to find you so it's easier for recruiters to find you. I want to make it harder for me to find you so it's easier for them. So I will only use your job title in 1 or 2 keywords. And like I say, most people take this very seriously. My client Keith here didn't. And when I was searching for him, I was searching and searching and searching, and I didn't find him until page 9, position 8, and I was steamed. So I said, you paid me, Keith. If you want to get to page 1, by God, you better do this, that, and the next thing. And I said, okay, I will. I promise. And so he tweaked his profile. He got serious. And then I searched again. And on the second try, he was on page 2, position 3, out of 67,000 people with his job title around the world that in my network. That's not quite good enough to satisfy me. So we tweaked a little bit more. And here's what happened. I searched using Chief Marketing Officer and the word global. He was page 1, position 1 at 24,000. And I used Chief Marketing Officer, his title, and the word branding, page 1, creative, page 1, integrated, page 1, strategist, page 1, healthcare, page 1, medical, page 1. That's what I want for you to get found. That's all my clients. I want you to get found. I want you to get a job. So does this work? This past week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, this guy, Pablo from the Houston area, sent me this note after I'd done the searches and sent them back. Page 1, page 1, page 1, page 1, page 1. That's what you need to get. So in conclusion, I want you to think about this. There is always somebody worse off than you are. So I want you to hear the music. I want you to stop and listen to the music. Nietzsche wrote, and those who were seen dancing were thought insane by those who could not hear the music. The music is playing all around you all the time. You will get a job. You will get hired. It may not be as soon as you want, but it's going to happen. You will get hired. And the only thing that keeps you from the realization of that you're going to get a job are the doubts that you have today. You will get a job. A little bit of shameless commerce division. I'm a coach. I can be rented. I have lots and lots and lots of different things that different plans. I want you to have whatever you need. If you want to get a hold of me, take a screenshot. My website's The Hired Guy. With a name like Al Smith, you have to have a weird email address, A Marshall with 2 L's Smith @gmail.com. And this is my phone number in the US. There's a book out there called Hired Every Employment Method. That was written by me. I'll be darned. And Sarah from earlier has already agreed to add to my next book. So I'm really tickled to death about that. If you're interested in the book, you can get it through Amazon. You can get it through me, whether it's the PDF version. So if you're interested, give me a shout. Here's some upcoming events that I'm going to be leading in the next couple of weeks. This coming Monday, I'm going to take with Richard Morgan, who's the next speaker. I'm going to take the interview chapter of my book, and that's an hour and a half that we're going to play with, and we have a great time. The following Monday, I'm at the Roswell United Methodist Church, where I do the resume writing workshop. I put these in the wrong order. So first is April the 5th. I'm doing the interview workshop. Wednesday, April the 2nd, I'm doing something with the Monmouth, New Jersey Workforce Development Career. It's this same workshop. The following Monday, I'm doing my full hour and a half Words to Work workshop. And then the Monday after that, the 12th, I will be doing the resume writing workshop. And that, folks, dispels a whole lot of myths about resume writing. So if you're interested, you can go to my LinkedIn page. Just type in The Hired Guy and you find me. Just type in The Hired Guy. It makes it a lot easier. You'll find a face that only a mother could love, and you'll see what I have coming up. So that's it. So we can start asking and answering questions if I can get rid of this without leaving. Leave the PowerPoint. Okay.
It's really hard to have a nap when you're so engaging.
One time,
I'll see if I can close my eyes for 5 minutes, and then I kept laughing.
and so one day I was doing a workshop in the same room that I always did it, and they had 4 futons, and it's like, oh my God, am I so boring? They needed sofas.
Your camera keeps going off and on, my friend.
Strange.
Don't know why.
Well, who wants to see this mug?
Maybe that's it. Are you okay to take some questions?
Sure.
We've got 3 questions that have come through. Okay, I think you actually answered this one. We've got this through from Randall. Is there a way of searching for yourself to see where your profile comes? So no is the answer to that, right?
Yeah, it's really impossible. As a matter of fact, I have a coach friend in Princeton, New Jersey, who every so often we'll do a workshop together, and he'll want me to search for him when we're first level connections, and he's pushed way back somewhere, and then I drop him, and immediately he's like on page 1 again. So you can't search for yourself. Yeah. And if you use somebody else's work, LinkedIn profile, they really have to have lots and lots and lots of connections.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. You've gone off again, camera. I don't know why, but
Lord knows.
We'll muddle through. If you do have a question for Al, please drop it down in the Ask a Question section. But I think I speak for everyone saying that was absolutely fantastic. Don't try and sleep though when you're trying to listen to Al, because he is that engaging that even though I'm on hour 14 or something of this live stream,
there's a comment in here that touches me.
Okay.
You will get a job. I say this because I don't want you to be in the same mental state that I was in when I was in job search. I mean, I gave up a big 6-figure job because I swore that I'd help people get jobs. I mean, I might make 20% of what I made before, but you will get a job, and you have to stay positive. And again, if you're ever around anybody negative, get away from them. Get away. You can't be around anybody negative. And, you know, lean on your significant other. Alex is gonna put your head in the bucket and, you know, teach you how to breathe underwater, I'm sure.
But she's not happy about my decision to do this. No,
I imagine not. But when I was in job search mode, my wife would come home all bubbly and everything and ask me, "What did you do today?" And what did I hear? I heard, "What the hell have you been doing all day?" No, that's not what she was trying to do. Right. She was trying to help me. Yeah. Your significant other will most likely want to help you.
Yeah, I completely agree. And look, I think it is really important to have that attitude. You know, you will find something. You know, you will. It does. We're in a difficult market at the moment, and I know a lot of people are feeling really down and really dejected about everything that's going on. But it is getting better.
Yes.
Statistics show that. Everything that I've seen, the ONS, which is the Office of National Statistics, that's hard to say, when in the UK is showing a definite upward trend on in terms of jobs. The recruitment CEOs that I speak to on a weekly basis, they're back up to where they were. Now, there is still a lot more candidates out there in the market and a lot more professionals looking, so it's going to take a little bit of time to catch up, but it is going to get there. It does.
I had 7 clients get jobs in a 2-week period last month.
Yeah, 7.
So people are getting hired.
Yeah.
And stay positive throughout the process. Work the process. I want you to position yourself so that recruiters find you even when you're not in job search, as I said before. Wouldn't it be great to get a phone call? Are you interested? Nah. So, and you know, there are lots of other things. I personally love some of the ideas that were mentioned today. Video. I've been preaching that gospel forever. Do a little video so that you're seen as a person, not just another piece of paper in the queue. Or I love things, what I call value proposition decks. We can create a pamphlet, a PowerPoint that you can print, and you could upload it to your LinkedIn profile. You can print them out and use them as interview tools, or you can add a 90 or 100-day plan of action to the last page based on the questions that you're asking in the first interview, and say, here's based on our last conversation. Oh, that's one other thing. I don't want anybody to have an interview ever again. Never. No interviews ever. I want you to have a conversation.
Right.
Because when you have a boss, you're going to have a conversation with your boss. You're not going to have an interview with your boss. So use that positive mindset that you're already part of the team.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. The positivity you've brought to this. I was so looking forward to you coming on, Al, because, you know, we had that conversation last time, like I said, and it's just so powerful. You know, what you said before, there's a young guy called Luke that I'm coaching who's looking for grad programs, and we do very similar training on this, Al, and from very similar sort of backgrounds. And I hadn't heard from him in 2 weeks. And I rang him up and said, "Luke, are you okay?" And he said, "Well, after we did my LinkedIn profile, I get a call every 2 days." And I'm like, "Oh, so you don't need me anymore. That's why you've not been contacting me." I thought something was wrong. I thought you were sick or something. It's like, no, I just don't need you anymore. No.
Well, it would have been nice to get a line.
Would have been nice for a phone call, yeah. But no, Luke, he's a great guy, and that to me, like, okay, great, job done. That's brilliant. Yeah. I've done what I promised I was going to do, and for some people, for some people that LinkedIn piece is a lot easier than others, and it depends on the industry as well. But it is something that you really need to work at. Fantastic. Yeah. There are a couple of things in the Ask a Question. I don't know if it's possible profile searches. Was that part of your talk, or was it?
Oh yeah, we can do searches. Let's see how I can do this. I'd love for. Okay, so if we want to, I'll need your name, your job title, and some keywords.
So we've got Melinda Ward. If you click on Ask a Question at the bottom, Can you see the ask a question button?
Let me get back to it. Ask a question. Okay.
We've got a Melinda Ward, professional service manager role. Keywords.
Okay. Let me go to that one, and I'll need the job title first.
So, professional services manager.
Professional services manager and some keywords.
So, industry keywords: global software, B2B, and SaaS. So, software as a service. I'm assuming that means.
And global software, SaaS, and what else?
And B2B.
Okay. All right. And I'm looking for Melinda.
That's it, yeah. Melinda Ward.
Okay. And since we're first level connections, she would be in my network, just like a recruiter would. So I looked at the first page, and I don't know how to share that. That would be great if I could share my screen with doing the searches.
Yeah. So Al and I connected on LinkedIn, yeah, from Jennifer Robertson as well. So I think best thing to do then, with this sort of stuff is, I mean, what's the best way of contacting you and going through this with you?
You can contact me through LinkedIn, which is just type in the hired guy. I looked it up. There are like 36,000 Al Smiths on LinkedIn. So just type in the hired guy. You'd see this ugly mug, and you'll know how to get in touch with me that way. That's probably the easiest way.
Sorry, Melinda just said she's not in your network. So that was Jennifer Robertson that said that. But I guess is it? It's probably difficult to do this exercise because you can't share your screen on it, right?
Yeah, if it was Zoom, it would be easy. I know how to do it, and my camera wouldn't go in and out.
Go in and out. It's fine. Well, look, no, Al. So please get in contact with Al. Please do. We've got a great guy up next as well, Richard Morgan, on how to market your brand. Who'll be coming up next. But look, Al, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Richard is a terrific guy. He's not only a friend, he's a fellow coach here in the Atlanta area. We cut up a little bit. We got in trouble last time because I'd sent a text to him while we were still live, and he and I were just laughing our heads off, and the moderator thought we were laughing at her.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well, look, I will. We'll duck off this one then. Al, thank you so much. I just looking at the comments section, you are a much beloved speaker that we've had on today. So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll chat soon. I mean, if
Yes.
ever I need an uplift, Al, I'll give you a call. Okay.
And you can have your wine.
Thank you very much. I will do. All right. Thank
Don't
you.
have it today.
I won't. No. Today's we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Thank you so much, Al, and thank you everyone for your
Thanks,
questions.
everybody. You will get hired.
You will get hired. Yes, you will get hired. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Al.